Welcome into the Thunder Basketball Universe presented by Coop Ale Works. We're coming to you from Los Angeles. The Thunder is 2/3 of the way done of this 3-game West Coast road trip. The Thunder just defeated the Los Angeles Lakers last night. And so we had to bring in Matt Pinto because I think we got a lot to talk about. What do you, I don't know.
There's a couple of topics that we can discuss here today.
The Thunder with a very big win over the Lakers last night, and it truly was a rare atmosphere to be in inside of Crypto.com Arena. LeBron James, obviously, in that third quarter, becoming the NBA's all-time scoring leader. The Thunder showed a lot of poise, showed a lot of composure to really focus in that game and end up getting the job done. But we got to talk about the atmosphere in that arena last night because it was unlike anything I've ever seen. Matt, I know you've been doing this for a very long time. Have you seen anything like that?
No, not even close. Because every time LeBron came close to touching the ball, the building was absolutely buzzing. You had, the phones all flashing for what were magical moments on the way to history. And it was a night when the ring under or along the court was surrounded by stars and his family and friends. And I'll tell you what, when I got to the arena and heard that he had flown a lot of people in from Ohio, my thinking is, okay, this is going to be the night.
He's going for it.
Clear. Yeah, he sure is, and he did.
It's amazing just what the NBA coming to OKC has done for so many people. It's opened up so many horizons for Thunder fans who didn't have an NBA team to root for before. I think about just the intersections that the Thunder has made over the course of the years. Dirk Nowitzki's last playoff game, Tim Duncan's final game ever, Kobe Bryant's final road game, and then the Thunder happens to be in town in Los Angeles for LeBron James breaking the all-time scoring record. It's an amazing thing what being a pro town can do for you, and the types of experiences that you can have. And I know that we were all extremely fortunate to just be in the building, and even better was the way that the youngest team in the NBA was able to handle all of those trappings, the 10 to 15 minute shutdown of the game, and then get back out there, and they go on an amazing 12-0 run in the fourth quarter to kind of put this game away.
Yeah, we need to talk about the fact that this is the youngest team in the NBA, and not only are they going up against the Lakers and LeBron, who is chasing the scoring title, but they're also facing the Lakers for the first time this season. Yeah. So it was just like everything was very new for the Thunder in this experience. And you look at a guy like J-Dub, who had the initial matchup on LeBron. You look at a guy like J. Will, who was in the starting lineup, one of his spot starts this season. And they really hunkered down and got the job done. But we would be remiss if we didn't talk about the shot that LeBron made at the end of the third quarter, 10 seconds left, goes to one of his most comfortable go-to shots right there, corner elbow, and knocked down a jumper. And immediately just pandemonium in the gym.
Yeah, I mean, it was frenzied. It was a one-legged fadeaway, which LeBron, I'm not going to say he is the guy that initiated it. Dirk probably is the one that's most renowned for it, but LeBron picks up things as he goes. He's always added to his game. I'm just floored by the prep for the game last night to prepare as best I could for the possibility of the moment to file through what this guy has done, because like him or not, based on some of the stands he's taken on and off the court, I don't know of a player that came into the league with the fanfare he did and has exceeded expectations. He's truly iconic. The youngest player to hit the 1,000 milestones, from 1,000 to 38,000. He'll hit 40,000 if he chooses to, no question. And this guy was not projected as a scoring player. He was projected as a guy that's going to set his teammates up, is going to be a physical force of nature that can get out on the break and electrify the crowd and, inspire his teammates. But he's made himself a player in the modern game that has been an indestructible force. So whether you like him or not, in terms of some of the personal dynamics involved, you have to admire what he's accomplished. And now he is firmly in the conversation as to whether or not he is the greatest player in the history of the sport, because he scored more than anybody else, and he's fourth in assists. People will, I think detractors will say, Michael went to 6 finals and won 6. He's been to 10 and won 4. But the volume of getting there 10 times is pretty significant as well.
Yeah, consistency is the absolute marker of LeBron James's career. I think it's something that when it's all said and done, people will marvel at just how he was able to repeat the process. And it's an inspiration to everybody. And Matt, to your point, to have a guy with that much fanfare, I remember seeing LeBron play as a high schooler and the gym being just as packed as it was in Crypto.com Arena last night. Just to pull the curtain back a little bit on a couple things from last night, ESPN's Malika Andrews asked Darvin Ham before the game what I thought was a very interesting question, which is, Kareem had the skyhook. That was his patented shot. LeBron, what would be the shot that you would remember him for? And Darvin Ham didn't really quite have an answer, and I was thinking about that. Is it the alley-oop from Dwayne Wade and the one-handed jam? Is it that sidestep three on the left wing? And then as he was setting up to take that jumper at the left elbow, it was hitting me. Oh, this makes sense. This is a classic LeBron shot. Get to your spot. Get to this comfort spot in the middle of the floor. He's a 3-level scorer all time, and he showed that last night. He scored at all 3 levels and did a fantastic job of it. One other small thing. We talked to Mark Daigneault after the game. We talked to Josh Giddey after the game. Mark is younger than LeBron James.
Oh my goodness.
Josh Giddey was 1 year old when LeBron James made his NBA debut. And it was so incredible to just hear both of those Thunder personnel talk about LeBron and his impact over the course of time. Mark made the point that you made, Matt, which is this guy had more expectations heaped on him than any other athlete in history, probably. And he exceeded them without, any of these massive scandals or things like that. It's just incredibly impressive. And then Josh said, this is a guy that he's idolized. He can't think of the NBA without thinking about LeBron James. And here he is going up toe-to-toe and competing against him in this amazing moment.
And LeBron, in sort of sizing up all of it and being asked the question about what is your patented shot, he says it's his tomahawk dunk.
Yeah.
The one-handed tomahawk dunk. And the other thing was last night, in the portrait behind him, after he had broken the record that the NBA devised with his hands up, the name on the back of his jersey showing all-time leading scorer in the NBA, he said, I would like to have had some powder.
Right.
Because that's part of what people remember before as well.
The big puff out. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it was interesting because we talked to Kenrich Williams. He was defending LeBron on that shot. We talked to him in the locker room, and he was asked, what makes that shot so difficult to guard? And he was like, well, he's big. He is very big, and he is very strong. And when you ask, Jalen Williams what he learned about defending LeBron tonight, he is very strong. And it's a really good lesson for the young guys. But I want to go back to Kenrich because Coach Daigneault said something in the moment that I thought that was so powerful and spoke so highly of Kenrich, is that yes, he's going to go down in history now as the guy defending LeBron James when he made that NBA scoring title. But Coach Daigneault said the best thing about Kenrich's competitiveness is his vulnerability. Like, he's going to be in the fight. Yeah. He's going to be willing to stick his nose in the fight. So, of course, yes, it makes sense that Kenrich was the one that took up the challenge to defend LeBron when he was just 2 points away from making that all-time scoring record.
We often talk about guys making business decisions on potential poster dunks. Well, that shot, that photo is going to be a poster in tons of people's
100%.
houses over the course of time. And you know what? Kenrich Williams was not afraid to be the guy in that poster. And
I say jokingly, the Thunder had great strategy. Let him get it done before the third quarter's over. Non-factor in the fourth, go out and win the game, right?
That's right. And it was a totally different game in the fourth quarter.
100%.
Yes, definitely. So there was a lot to talk about. We're going to get into the actual, the happenings of this game right after the break. Don't go anywhere.
Coop Ale Works is the proud sponsor of Thunder Basketball Universe. Brewers of the fan favorites F5 IPA and 99-calorie Ice Chest IPA. You'll find those and many more Coop beers at retailers across Oklahoma. Learn more at coopaleworks.com.
All right, we should probably talk about what actually happened in terms of some game action in this game, because it really was a great game for the Thunder. They put up 133 points, won the game by 3. And the fourth quarter, Nick, you teased it, is really where the Thunder had to really test their mettle because the Lakers, obviously, the scoring record was in the third quarter. Now it was time to get down to business. And the Lakers, after the Thunder had led by as many as 15 points, they tied the game in the fourth quarter, and the Thunder really had to maintain control of this one. What'd you see from the group in that fourth?
Well, how many times in an NBA game do we see a team that has built a big lead, then it gets slashed, and then, kind of the wheels start to come off, particularly a young team going up against such a veteran-laden group like this. And so for the Thunder to respond with that 12-0 run, with all that game pressure, no timeout by Mark Daigneault, which I thought was amazing, and something that he said after the game was, our team acted like they expected everything that was going to happen on the floor to happen, and then they followed through on just reacting to it as opposed to, getting flustered by it. And so that 12-0 burst started with an Isaiah Joe 3. Seems like that seems to be a
We've
catalyst
said that
for
once or
this
twice.
team. And then Jalen Williams gets involved. He makes a steal, one of his career-high 6 steals in the game. And it seemed to be this great coalescing of the way that the Thunder wanted to play. Get out and run, hit threes on catch and shoots after gashing the paint. The Thunder had 17 threes in the game, and they ended up kind of giving themselves enough cushion to hold on down the stretch.
One of the things about this team that is highly underpublicized, and this is sort of an unusual stat to throw out on the table, they've only squandered 3 double-digit leads and losses this season. You look league-wide, the average is probably 6 or 7 because of the modern game, because of the three-point shot. The Lakers had squandered 8 or 9. The Thunder have 12 wins coming back from double-digit deficits. But last night would have been a classic example of the building resettling in, the Lakers kind of winning it for LeBron. LeBron was a non-factor in the fourth quarter, scored only 1 bucket. It's like, I'm spent. I've done my duty tonight, and I'm going to go watch my guys hopefully rally and get it done. But the Thunder were having none of it. And while it's only a footnote, as it'll be recognized historically, the Thunder actually won the game, it's far more than that for them at this specific moment in their development.
Yeah, because we need to talk about the context surrounding this game. Obviously, in the game, in the arena, was such an intense atmosphere. But before that, the night before, the Thunder lost the game to the Warriors that they felt like they really let one go. They just kind of let it slip. They didn't play their characteristic style, their identity of basketball. And this was their opportunity in this arena against LeBron James and the Lakers to respond. And for the youngest team in the NBA, it was truly quite a challenge. Like that's about as challenging as it gets, having to respond after a tough loss on the second night of a back-to-back against a very tough opponent. And that's what the Thunder did. And it took everyone on the floor to get it done.
Against a team that they haven't played this season. And, oh, by the way, Jalen Williams, J-Dub, is getting an assignment that he's never had before as a rookie against LeBron James. Jalen Williams, J-Will, is getting an assignment on Anthony Davis, a player that he's never seen before. These are 2 rookies going up against Hall of Fame players in their very first time on the second night of a back-to-back. The Thunder's regular rotation laden with 4 guys that are either rookies or second-year guys in that starting lineup to go alongside Shai, who, again, was masterful in this one. That mid-range left wing jumper where he just seemed to evade 4 different defenders on the same possession was absolutely stunning.
It's become automatic.
But but the Thunder's response, not only in the game like you discussed, but before the game, as you're alluding to, Paris, incredible.
Yeah.
Well, I think the other thing is that to win on the road in the NBA, you've got to come up with crowd quieting plays when the other team is murmuring and rising. And that was a night where the crowd was electric until history was made, and then they settled back in the fourth quarter, and when we're like a typical Laker crowd, which only is up and excited when there's massive things going on, like a 14-0 run. So I thought the Thunder answered every bell last night, especially with offense, and I felt like that would be the key in the game. Fight fire with fire. This is an explosive offensive team that can be vulnerable to being run back at. And the Thunder, even after makes, even after big moments, they were not deterred in coming back down the floor, knocking down threes, finding open shots, playing connected basketball, which the Lakers did not play at critical junctures of that game. And I think it spoke about the development where both of these teams are. But to the credit of the Thunder, and I was asked by Bill McDonald, their TV play-by-play voice, and John Ireland, radio play-by-play voice, how do you differentiate the Jalen Williams? I said, you better get it right, because both guys are going to have big nights in terms of minute volume and the roles they play, and they both did. I think when you look at J-Dub and what he did in that game to short circuit big Laker possessions time after time after time with 6 steals, and then to be as aggressive and assertive as he was offensively, it's been a cluster recently where he's not taken many shots. Last night, he sort of took that one by the throat and went after it in every facet, which was incredibly impressive. And if Jay Will is not the modern big man in the NBA with the stat line he put up last night, 14 points, he made 2 3-pointers, 7 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 drawn charges. He excelled with the spotlight as bright as it can be. So I think when you look at the future of both of those guys in their rookie seasons, last night, a sign of dramatic progress.
Yeah, let's talk about the Jaylins a little bit deeper here. So J-Dub finished the game with 25.6 steals, like you mentioned, 10 of 19 from the field, 3 of 6 from the three-point line. And what stands out to me most when I look at Jalen's performance tonight, it's something that I've seen over the course of the season, is that This rookie does not get rattled at all. Nothing really phases him. You remember he had that injury at the start of the season. He was out for 3 games, came back, and he was still learning. He was growing. But with every experience, he just kind of took steps forward. He didn't get too high, never got too low. And this is the game to really put that on display when there's so much happening around the game, in the game. He put together a really solid, really efficient 40-minute performance.
I just want to use a phrase that Mark Daigneault used, which is he just plays the possession. Yeah. And you could really see both of the Jaylins do that in the game. And it's remarkable because the self-talk that Mark Daigneault described in that 10-minute hiatus was all internal within the team. Shai really kind of took some charge there and made sure that everyone was really focused on the task at hand. And I think that internal focus, it didn't require the coaching staff to come in and give this reminder speech that, hey, we've got a job to do. Don't get lost in the shuffle here. The fact that that was all coming internally, just like it did against Houston the other night back at home, is a really good sign of just how much this team is kind of humming with its own process, with its own identity. And I think when it shines through in its rookies, it's when it's most obvious. Jay Will went 2 for 2 from 3. Neither of those shots were forced. When he got the ball at the top of the key, if he was open, he took the look. When it wasn't, he dropped off an incredible bounce pass to a backdoor cut by Josh Giddey. I mean, these are just plays that were being made within the flow. There was confidence to be able to attack a matchup, but then there was also the restraint to play inside the team structure, and J-Dub personified that.
This was a moment to me that stood out, and it's one of those that may go unnoticed. LeBron blasted down the lane, ran into Jay Will, helped Jalen Williams up after drawing the charge. It's like, dude, that was a heck of a play. And to get the respect from that iconic figure in his rookie season, doing one of the things that Jay Will is known for and was at Arkansas, leading the NCAA in charges drawn a season ago, I think was pretty special. And it really, there were a lot of things that went on in the framework of that night. There were surreal moments to have been present for what we saw unfold historically, but then to see the development of this young squad, which I think, honestly, the Lakers and the league would have liked that they just sort of absorb the moment, stand on the side, let the Lakers win by 20 and sort of move on. That's not what happened. And I think the league takes notice at the way the Thunder stood their ground last night.
This team, time and time again, shows their response, their resilience, their competitive fire. They're not just going to let something slide. You mentioned that Houston series and how Coach Daigneault said after that first loss in Houston, he didn't show the team any clips, didn't show them any film. He said, it's up to you guys to respond. He learned in that moment that you don't have to overcoach this team. They are so internally motivated. And in this moment in Los Angeles, inside of Crypto.com Arena, we saw that internal motivation. This team wants to win, and they are fired up. And really, everybody that played in this game had an impact on the game. I think of a guy like Isaiah Joe who steps in and knocks down big-time three-pointer after big-time three-pointer in that fourth quarter. I think of Mike Muscala who stepped in and knocked down a couple of threes.
It's 16.
Exactly. Everybody that stepped onto the floor had the same mindset. They were all locked in and bought in about competing and fighting to win.
Yeah, and your leader stepped up the way that you have to, and you talked about these deflating moments, Matt. The one that stands out to me for sure, 4:41 to go in the fourth quarter, Shai hits a 3. Very next possession, he just rips the ball out of Dennis Schroeder's hands, gets fouled, and that absolutely quieted that crowd. And the Lakers had cut the lead to about 8 points at that point. It had gotten up to 11 on the three-pointer by Shai, and then suddenly OKC's got the ball back.
And I think Shai has a soft-spoken demeanor about him in general. He has a joy for the game. We all know that. We see that. We see how he celebrates with teammates. We see how he ignites the team in more a soft-spoken way. I think we've seen more overt leadership from him recently, beginning the night against Houston in the aftermath of that really poor performance against the Rockets the previous game. Comes out, goes for 20 in the opening quarter, and lets his teammates know, we're not losing tonight. In fact, we'll leave no doubt. This is our night. This is our game. We're far better than we were in Houston, and we're going to show that in this one. And he certainly ignited that charge. But I think we're seeing the growth of this team, and it's quantifiable. It's palpable right now. And how can you not like what you're seeing from a group that now systematically is generating 30-plus assists, is scoring 125, 130, among league leaders in scoring. They're top 10 in defensive rating. I mean, there's a lot going on here that the league is taking notice of. This is not just a nice little story. It's becoming bigger, seemingly by the game as the season wears on.
And the beautiful thing about all of this, particularly this big leap that we've seen this season offensively, no major offseason trades. no coaching change. The Thunder hasn't had the services of the number 2 overall pick in last year's draft. This organization understands the value of letting a plant settle in its soil as opposed to ripping it out of the dirt and putting it somewhere that might have more sunlight in that moment. And I think this is an example of what can happen when continuity is allowed to flourish. And it's very, very exciting to see how much more there is to come and this long runway ahead.
And I think what speaks to that even more is what J-Dub told me before the game. I asked him about going into this game and the unique experience that's surrounding it. And he said, we're young, and this is a really good experience for us. And we're going to go out there, we're going to fight, we're going to compete. And at the end of the game, asked him the same question again. What was it like in this unique experience? He said, we got better as a team tonight.
Yeah.
And you can see it, you can feel it. This group is latching on to every experience, soaking it up, and taking it with them into the next one. And we're starting to see that snowball build and build and build throughout this season. So the Thunder has one more game on this West Coast road trip. It's going to be up in Portland. Then the team heads back home for 2 more games inside of Paycom Center before the All-Star break. You can catch all those games on Valley Sports Oklahoma. And you can listen to him on the radio with Mr. Matt Pinto on WWLS Sports Animal and the Thunder Radio Network. Mr. Pinto, thank you so much for joining us today.
Great to be with you.
Thanks, Matt.
Yeah.
All right, that wraps up today's podcast. Be sure to like, rate, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you so much to our producer. And until next time, Thunder up, and catch you later.